All right, let's get right into this one. We are heading to a remote village in Uttar Pradesh, to a packaged water factory. This whole story comes from a former worker there named Amit, and what he experienced? Well, it's chilling. It all starts with a sound that shouldn't have been possible, and it ends with a tragedy that would bolt the factory doors for good. So, picture this. It's 2025. Amit is working the night shift all by himself. He's surrounded by the absolute roar of a bottle blowing machine. I mean, it is deafening. But somehow, through all that noise, he hears something impossible. His own name. Amit. He just figures, it must be a coworker. It's the only logical explanation. And that simple, logical assumption, it was a mistake that would nearly get him killed.
Now this factory, it's a two-story building out near Barabanki. The ground floor is where all the noisy machinery is, running 24/7. But the second floor, that's different. There's only one room up there, an office that belonged to the owner's brother. And here's the thing about that office. It was always locked. Every single worker was warned, in no uncertain terms, you do not go near that door. Ever.
Okay, so things go from weird to terrifying in just a few minutes. Amit keeps hearing his name, so he finally goes to check the back gate, thinking someone's out there. There's nobody. But as he turns to go back inside, the single light bulb above him just pops, explodes. Now he's in the dark. He gets back to a station, a little shaken, and happens to glance at a shiny reflective panel on the machine. And that's when he sees it. A massive, shadowy figure, like 6 or 7 feet tall, standing right behind him. Before you can even process what he's seeing, the main factory lights just die, and something grabs him in the dark and slams his head hard against the machine.
The message could not have been clearer. Get out. Amit scrambles to his feet and just bolts for the exit. He doesn't even dare to look back until he's clear of the building. But when he finally does, he looks up and he sees it. A dark figure standing on the balcony of that one single forbidden upstairs office, just watching him run.
So Amit makes it to his room, but the next morning he wakes up with a raging fever, his whole body just aching. His supervisor takes one look at him and says, "Go home, get some rest." He asks another worker, a young guy named Sonu, to give Amit a ride back to his village.
The ride home is about 40 minutes, and they're spooked, right? So they intentionally take a route that goes around the local cemetery. But it doesn't help. As they're passing this huge peepal tree near the village, they both hear it. These desperate, awful cries for help, like someone's in real pain, coming from the branches. Sonu just freaks out and guns it the rest of the way to Amit's house. He's so terrified he refuses to drive back home alone in the dark.
And just like that, the haunting wasn't stuck at the factory anymore. It had followed him home. In the dead of night, Amit wakes up to the sound of frantic running, right on the roof above his head. He grabs his phone, turns on the flashlight, and points it up at the ceiling. And what he sees is just impossible. There, pressed into the plaster of the ceiling, is the figure of a man, like something was stomping him down from the other side. Amit is so frozen with fear he can't even make a sound to wake up Sonu. He does the only thing he can think to do. He just yanks the blanket over his head and stays there till morning.
The next day, Amit spills everything to his family. They immediately realize this is something way beyond their control. They need spiritual help. So they go to a local cleric, a Molvi, at a nearby shrine, desperate for some kind of protection, some kind of answer.
And the Molvi's diagnosis is absolutely chilling. He tells them that the factory is haunted by 4 spirits, souls who died too soon and are now desperately searching for a living body to inhabit. He gives Amit a protective thread to wear and some sanctified water. And believe it or not, Amit starts getting better. But the thing is, the entity wasn't gone. It had just switched its focus. It latched onto the only other person who heard those cries from the tree, Sonu. And back in his own village, Sonu had suddenly become deathly ill.
A few days later, Amit gets a frantic call from Sonu. He tells him about this vision he had, this absolute nightmare. He said he woke up in the middle of the night, but he was completely paralyzed. He couldn't move, couldn't speak, just held down by something he couldn't see.
And as he's lying there, helpless, he looks across the room and he sees his own dead body, laid out like it's his own funeral. His entire family is there, gathered around just weeping. He was being forced to watch his own wake while he was still alive.
In this state of pure terror, he focuses on his cousin, who's getting things ready for the funeral. Sonu manages to force out a single whisper, "What are you doing?" And his cousin turns to look at him. But his eyes, They were completely solid white. The shock was so immense, Sonu just blacked out. This wasn't just a bad dream.
So Amit rushes Sonu back to the Malvi. But as soon as the cleric starts his prayers, Sonu starts speaking in all these different horrifying voices at the same time. The Malvi is shaken. He admits, "This is too powerful for me." He tells them they have to go see a tantric, someone who deals with much darker, more powerful forces. The tantric confirms their worst fears and says he'll have to do a major ritual on the new moon, a ritual that's going to require the sacrifice of 4 roosters. The night of that ritual was grotesque. As the tantric begins, Sonu's body literally levitates off the ground. After the roosters are sacrificed, Sonu gets up, and right in front of everyone, he devours them, raw. The tantric manages to bind the spirits, but only for a short time. He warns them a much bigger ritual is needed. But in the days that follow, Sonu's body just falls apart. He withers away. He loses control of everything, at one point even eating his own waste. He was literally being eaten alive from the inside out. In a last-ditch effort, Sonu's family arranged for an even more powerful priest to come the very next day. They never got the chance. That night, with his mother sleeping on the floor right next to his bed, the spirits inside Sonu overheard the plan, and before any more help could arrive, they killed him. Sonu was gone. But the biggest question was still just hanging there. Where did this evil actually come from? And the answer, just as Amit had started to suspect, was waiting back at that factory, locked behind that one forbidden door. So one day, while the supervisor is gone, Amit and a couple of other workers decide they're going in. They manage to get the latch open and step inside. The whole room is caked in this thick layer of dust, like no one's been in there for years. But then they see it. On a dusty chair, there are fresh footprints. And then the ceiling fan clicks on, all by itself. They try the switch, flick it back and forth, it won't turn off. And all 3 of them feel it at the same time, this overwhelming sense that there's a 4th person in that room with them. And right there in that cold, dusty room, the whole dark secret of the factory finally clicked into place. Those 4 spirits the Malvi talked about, they weren't just random ghosts. They were the vengeful spirits of 4 workers who had been murdered right on that property. The whole story finally tumbled out. Years back, the factory owner had murdered 4 of his own workers and buried their bodies somewhere on the grounds. His brother knew about it, and to keep their angry spirits from rising, he performed a ritual every single year to appease them. But 2 years ago, that brother died, suddenly, mysteriously, right inside that locked office. When he died, the ritual stopped. And for 2 long years, those vengeful spirits have been dormant, just growing stronger and stronger, waiting. So, after Sonu's death, and with the factory's dark secret finally out in the open, everything just fell apart. The story of the murders and the hauntings spread like wildfire through all the villages around there. And for the factory, the fallout was immediate and absolute.
Nobody would work there. Not anymore. The owner tried to reopen it a few times, but any new worker he hired would only last a day or 2 before they'd flee, terrified, with their own stories to tell. Today, that factory just sits there, empty and abandoned, a silent monument to the evil that happened inside its walls. Which really leaves you with one final, unsettling question. The story of this factory, it's not just a ghost story, is it? It's about a crime, a cover-up, and a curse that was born from pure violence. And it makes you wonder, when an act of evil is so terrible that it seems to poison the very land it happened on, can a place like that ever truly be clean again?